I'm going to say I mean, I may not do what they say, but I do it knowing I'm doing it, but doing an Avera.
Yeah, not your Averas. I know that you.
No, but
as far as philosophical issues.
If they say,
if
I hold by that rabbi,
I think they're stupid on this area.
And my own rabbi right now, he has a lot of things. Like I found him late in the game, right? My rabbi died, so I took a new rabbi, and I found him late in the game, and I already established all my hashkafas, if you will, right? And he's got some that overlap mine, but he's got some that are different than mine. And so he might say, well, I do this, and this is what I do, and I would hope you do these things too. And I'm going to say, well, I'm not going to do those because I don't feel those, I don't agree with those. That's not my dare. So I'll tell him up front. But there are things I do accept from him.
What do you think about Reuven?
Reuven
getting it on with his father's concubine.
Oh, he didn't get it on with her.
But it says
he didn't.
Well, please turn in our Bibles.
He didn't. What page? What thing?
Oh, I didn't write down the verse.
Well, let me just tell you what had happened over there, okay? Yeah. Rachel died. Rachel was his mother. Yaakov moved the bed from Rachel's bed into her maid servant, or whatever you call it, tent. And he was going to start doing it with the maidservant on Rachel's bed. Reuven objected to that because Reuven said, you're dissing my mom.
Yeah.
You're using her bed to bang. First, it was bad enough that you're banging my mom's sister, who's her chief rival in life. Now you're going to bang my mother's concubine, not concubine, maidservant as well.
Have you no shame?
Have you no shame? You're not doing it on this bed. So what he did was he messed up the bed so that no one could sleep in it. So since he messed up the bed and he prevented his father from having sex with this woman, right, on that bed, right, Torah credits him as if he was in that bed with that woman because he kept his own father from being with that woman. In other words, if he was banging the woman, his father can't be banging the woman because he's busy banging her, right? And so if you just disturb the bed, you also keep your father from getting to her. So Torah credits him as if he did it. That's why you must learn the Torah with the oral tradition behind it. If you do not learn it, then you end up like Levi, and you say things like, hey, why did Reuven bang his father's wife? And that just did not happen.
So,
what are we looking at now?
Do you and I remind you of Norwegian bachelor farmers?
That was the funniest fucking thing. I read that thing, was laughing my ass off.
Emails, you and Rabs are starting to resemble Garrison Keillor's Norwegian bachelor farmers. Apparently these are men who are single, middle-aged, and basically live out on their farms most of the time. They occasionally come into the city where they attempt, with a certain amount of futility, to mix with attractive young women. Because of their isolation and single propensities, the young ladies simply see some rueful old guys who are becoming increasingly odd. I have noticed that you guys are constantly talking about breeding and never romance. Why don't we talk about romance more on this show?
But here's the thing, this thing was so full of fail, right? Because first of all,
we get hot young chicks all the time.
If anybody's familiar with me on MySpace or on Facebook, who are the people that want me, right? I'm surrounded by younger women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm also surrounded by older ones, too,
mm-hmm.
and one's my age. But there's no shortage of young women who want me.
Exactly.
So that part didn't make sense. The next one was that he was like, hey, why do you guys always talk about breeding? No, I would never talk about breeding because I'm not a breeder.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to have kids.
But why don't we talk more about love and romance on this show?
Because Torah is not big on love and romance. Torah breaks everything down into the bottom line. I talked about before, I spoke about how in a marriage, you go to a Goyish wedding. Let me just take the floor here for a minute. You go to a Goyish wedding, they said, you promise to love, honor, and cherish as long as you both shall live. And they say, I do.
I do.
The first thing there is love. You will not find the word love in a Jewish marriage. It's not part of the Jewish wedding at all. He's got a responsibility to satisfy his wife sexually. He's got to lick her pussy hole. Right?
Oh my God, the rabbi.
Right? And she's got to prepare for him a hot dinner, right? She's got to come out with the pasta, right? So that's a 1-for-1. It's a trade. She comes out with the pasta. He goes down.
Let's just say he has to satisfy his wife.
Right.
Just leave it there.
Oh, look,
We might have children tuning in to these Torah talks. A lot of yeshiva televises Torah talks.
Look who can't handle it. The guy's been watching women's asses all night on the...
I wasn't watching their asses, I was watching the football.
Yeah, right. Okay. So here's what's going on. What am I talking about? That there's no love in the marriage contract. There's nowhere does it talk about love. It says, Hariyat Mekadesheslim Mekal, you know. It says that I'm taking you, I'm acquiring you. It's a transaction. That the guy is going to, you know, transfer this wealth, which is this ring, right? And he's going to acquire this woman, and she's going to make him dinner, and he's going to satisfy her. That is how Judaism looks at a marriage. Love isn't part of it. Love, honor, and cherish. So long as you both shalom. It's not a Jewish zach. Okay? So, you know, and everything is bottom line is based on sex, right? And I don't see there's anything wrong with that.
But would you say that you're a romantic guy?
In what sense? I'm a realist. Okay, I go deep. I'm a deep thinker. I talk to people very deeply and very intensely. My essays are very... What the fuck is going on down here?
Ratwang says Luke seems averse to vaginas. Where betide the woman who confronts him with hers?
Yeah, I'm glad they picked up on that. The chat room, it just said, called the bullshit meter on that one. When suddenly, like, you became like a prude on the virgin, you know, the vaginal line, because like, what the fuck, all night long it's like, you know, look at the women, look at the women. And suddenly, you know, I say lick the pussy hole, and this guy like he goes back to a Seventh-day Adventist day. He's like, oh no, I don't have nothing to. Oh, my father's a minister.
I'm just not used to talking in such crude language.
Oh, really? But you're the guy who covered porn for 5 years.
I was covering like the business aspect of
it. All right, I think that's it. That's where we end right there.
So kids, don't dupe people.
Don't dupe people
before you ask for permission. Wait until your union has been sanctified by God and state.
Definitely don't go to her parents after say to her that you just stuck it in her ass.
Yeah, it's just not if they're traditional. Like if they're hippies, they might go for it. But
well, what if they had like a flimsy? I'm trying to get a callback of everything we talked about. That. What if they had like a flimsy conversion where they didn't have to give up their old thoughts? Could you go to like that kind of a parent and say, hey, you know,
yeah.
I just did it anally with your daughter.
Well, maybe even flimsy parents wouldn't be into that. Now there's a thought in the chat room that I grew a beard just so that I wouldn't have to be confronted by a vagina.
Somebody actually wrote that?
Yeah.
Who's Rotwang? Is that the?
I don't know who Rotwang is, but
is that your friend? Is that Chaim?
No, I don't think so. Look, I did not grow this beard because I'm afraid of intimacy. I grew this beard because my soul so in love with the Torah. And growing a beard is the Jewish way.
Why don't you get payas?
I don't think that's me yet.
Okay.
I mean, pretty much other than that, I'm like pretty much down the line, straight 613 kind of Jew, but I just don't think I'm quite ready for the payas yet.
Because I never understand the inconsistency of not ever cutting your beard, but, at all costs, cut off the payas.
No, I just don't feel like explaining to the Mexican barber, like, okay, leave these alone.
So why don't you go to the Jewish barber like I do, with the guy with the yarmulke?
How much does he charge?
To do what?
To cut your hair.
I think it's like, I get out of there for like 20 and a tip or something.
Well, I get the Mexican for $12.
Yeah, but my guy just pays.
Where is the Jewish barber?
It's right next door to Munchies.
Oh. Okay, is he the Holocaust survivor?
No, he bought the business from the... You haven't